Twitter in the Object Show community, also known as OSC Twitter, and shortened further to OSCTWT, is self-explanatory, the Object Show community on Twitter. Object shows are obviously what's discussed, stuff like 1, Inanimate Insanity 2, and more recently Animatic Battle. I for one love the Object Show community, and most object shows. I even have one of my own. It's a very creative place and I overall have a lot of fun. OSC Twitter however has a different tone compared to how I describe the OSC, because I see an abundance of mindsets that just don't help everyone for the greater good, and it's a shame because again, I love the OSC. Yes, I am referring to what many people refer to as cancel culture. I don't really use that term, but I see the mindset that is described as that quite often on OSC Twitter, and it low-key hurts. I have now seen multiple instances of people getting harassed out of the platform for having, as far as I'm concerned, completely harmless beliefs. I don't think this way of approaching situations is good in general, but it at least makes sense when the targeted person does something really problematic. When it applies to people that are not actively harming others, it gets out of hand. Calling someone out often leads to harassment too. I am worried if some people will take advantage and make more false accusations of people for attention, as I have seen this mentality on other parts of Twitter. Like nothing is going to change for the better if you call out someone who is trying to do what they think is right. They think differently and are just as passionate about their beliefs as you, so civilized discussions are always best in that way. Unfortunately, there's too much priority of sending a message over keeping a discussion civil. Ironically, keeping a discussion civil is an effective way of sending a message. Assumptions and misunderstandings are also abundant, which can lead to misleading information about people, or even paint them as different than who they really are. The way Twitter is made does not help this case at all either, because it's easier to just call someone out instead of privately messaging them if there is a problem. Harmless people don't deserve to be harassed, nor deplatformed away from any section of the OSC, even if it isn't the best. I am someone that values empathy, so seeing a lack of that is always just demotivating. People also just want to enjoy themselves, have fun and try to be a positive role model to others. These feelings are almost always disregarded unfortunately. There have also been occasions where people have been struggling mentally due to OSC Twitter, with notable examples being Wuggalo and Adam Katz. Which is completely fair because harassment is not okay. This mindset is also just harmful for people that have it, as approaching many situations with irrational anger is ultimately not going to improve things, nor will it make many people side with you. But things being talked or exposed in a civil manner would help greatly. So recently on Twitter, Florence, known to be the voice actor of Six from BFDI, made a tweet saying how trans men can date lesbians and trans women can date gay men. I actually made a document explaining my thoughts on this situation.
My first paragraph is on the idea of enforcing rules on other people's identities, and that it is something that has harmed us for a long time. Identities don't have set rules that everyone should follow, because they are identities. They are built for each individual person. There is no good reason you should decide or have any sort of control over someone else's identity, or any labels they go by. My second paragraph goes over what Florence posted on Twitter. To be honest, I don't think the wording is amazing. If it was worded as if the true message was that identities shouldn't have roles, then it would have probably been received better than it did. Because Florence's tweet ended up with a lot of backlash. Florence was even accused of transphobia. I'm not qualified to argue against that, but Florence's argument would have likely come from experience, and that thread was definitely posted for a good reason. I finally talk about harassment here, and how this has essentially happened to Florence and Wuggalo as well, the latter of which stood by Florence's experiences. This also applied to Adam Katz, creator of Inanimate Insanity, who had the Israeli flag in his Twitter bio. This was before the present situation, but the backlash he received led to him deactivating his Twitter account. If someone is getting so much hate directed towards them to the point they deactivate their account, that does not seem like a welcome community. The OSC is a great community too, and it's LGBTQ friendly. I understand that people have good intentions all around, but it doesn't create good actions or consequences, and that mindset which is abundant on Twitter is evidence of that. That also applies to this video too. Because as of making this video, I do not know the consequences to come. My overall messages in this are that people don't deserve harassment, beliefs should be dealt with in a civilized manner, and nobody should decide someone else's identity. I definitely understand that some beliefs may seem, or even be morally wrong, but the task in hand is to inform said person that what they said wasn't great, so doing that in a civilized manner would get the person to truly acknowledge your point and learn from it without suffering mentally or developing any sort of disliking towards you. Even if it may not seem like it for some, I made this video because I want the best for all parties, and I want to try my best to help people feel safe and happy without anything unnecessary getting in the way. I hope you understand my message here.